thanks everyone for joining us for video 3. My name is Brad Ashley. I'm the Director of Business Development here at Solved.
And I'm Scott Campbell. I'm the CEO here at Solved 3D. And Brad, what's video 3 all about?
Video 3, we're going to talk about using the model that we trained in video 2 to classify unclassified data. Before we get into it too far, though, Scott, were there any questions or any critical things that came up that you'd like to do a quick recap of?
Yeah, let's do a quick recap. So in video 1, of course, as we talked about, we prepared the data and we split it into 2 pieces. We talked a lot about the importance of the quality of that data for training. In video 2, we showed everybody how to run the learning algorithm on that training and validation data to generate the trained model that we're going to talk about here.
Perfect.
So yeah, let's talk about using this trained model then, Brad, and how do we go about using it?
Yeah, so as we saw in the previous video, we now have that trained model. And so the intent here is to take unclassified data that's just been collected in the field, that's not been run through any other software packages, and to run it against that trained model to end up with classified data. So let's take a look. If we again look in Solved Engine, we see again underneath the new heading, training and detection, that we have that tool called point cloud classification. In this case, it's just the input folder of the unclassified data, as well as the trained model that you want to run it against. And again, like Scott's point, knowing which model you're running it against, knowing which version is critical in this piece.
So the handout covers all those other settings as well, so don't worry about that.
Once this starts, you're going to see, unlike the training side, this is going to be very quick. So we're going to run through, it'll do its thing. And in this case, it's a 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer square tile of LiDAR data, and it will take about 50 minutes to run the full classification.
No tensor board, unlike the learning algorithm. There's no need for a tensor board at this time. This is just straightforward classification on your LiDAR data.
And there we go. As you can see, it's finished, and we've done that again in the 50 minutes. Next, all the classified data, and you might see this or recognize this from video 1. We had popped this up in video 1 to show the classified resulting data, and here you can see the same thing. We've run it through. It was unclassified to begin with. In this case, we now have 7 classifications that have come out the other side. And this is totally based on that training algorithm that we trained in video 2.
Yeah, this looks pretty cool. And of course, this is what it's all about, right? This is the purpose of the whole thing. This is like having a tool that allows you to quickly and easily classify your LiDAR data. I think there's a key point I want to make here, Brad, and that's before you use the model, which is now where we are, I think it's important for everybody to test it to make sure that it's going to meet your expectations. Again, to go back to that example we used in video 1, fire hydrants, Chicago, Paris, if you've trained your model on Chicago and now all of a sudden you want to go run it in Paris, but they got different shapes, you want to run some data through just to make sure it's going to meet your expectations. So absolutely, test your model first time before you go to use it. And with that said, this is video 3, Brad. What are the next steps?
Yeah, so once you've now taken the data that we provided, you run it through and against the model that you trained in video 2, you should now be able to compare those results, and we'll actually check in with you over the next week to ensure that the results that you've got match those of what we see here. Once you've done that and we're ready to go, our next recommendation is to start training a model based on your own data sets and to then run an unclassified tile against that trained model. So this is kind of the exciting part. This is where you would take your own data, your own classified data, train that model, then run an unclassified tile against it. And of course, if you have any questions or concerns, we're always here for you. You can always contact us at support@solved.com, and we'll be happy to assist you through this process. Again, thanks for taking the time on these 3 videos. Hope you've enjoyed it. Hope you've learned something, and we're excited to get this tool in your hands.
Yeah, awesome. Thanks a lot, guys, and we'll see you on the other side.